Okay, guys, welcome to this Excel warm-up video. So, what are we gonna do and why do we need this? So this is a Finance 201 course. So this is supposed to be your first finance course. And throughout this course, you will need to use Excel quite a bit. And Excel is, I should say one of the most useful computer programs that you are gonna end up with in the world of business. So, so I think it's valuable to master Excel skill as much as you can during your 4-year study at TCNJ. So the second reason we want to do this is that for this course and your future courses, you just have to know Excel. And you're going to have projects, you're going to have assignments, and in some courses, you can even answer exam questions using Excel on your laptop. So this video should provide uh, a simple expense tracker or budgeter using Excel, where we're gonna practice some Excel skills that you should have been exposed to in your IST 201 course, but you may not have mastered those. So this video should warm you up rather than make you a expert in Excel. And over the process of the course and the process of study at TCNJ, you should be able to gradually accumulate what you will need. So because the purpose is not, it's not to show you how to build a budget or expense tracker. This is So what this is going to do is actually show you how we can use some basic Excel functionalities to build a budget or expense tracker. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to show you is some simple tricks. So this is my Excel. Different from some of my other videos. I'm using a Mac now. I may switch back and forth, but this is what we are going to do for this time. So let's begin with giving our model a title. So let's call it 2023 because I'm recording this December 31st, 2022. 2023 income expense tracker. Okay, so this is the what do we want to call this? Okay, so there are many things you can do with respect to formatting at this point, but let's actually hold on a bit until we lay out our general structure. So what do we want to do in this income expense tracker? Of course, we want to track our income and expense, and we want to make sure that every month we're balanced, right? We have a balanced in and balanced out. And because it's a model, with this model, what we can do is we can actually know how big a buffer we can have, in the sense that, if in a month you have to pay some money early, how much money you can pay. Okay, so what does that mean? That basically means we have to go month by month, right? So let's first with income, begin with income. And then we're going to go through January, right? February, right? So then what I can do is I can keep going, March, April, May. But I think Excel, for these kind of sequential numbers, what you can do is you can select these two and track. As you can see, you should be able to see this MAR down here: March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. So this should be populated automatically. Okay, so sometimes the dragging is a little off. So let me do it again so that we are comfortable about it. So basically, if you wanted to replicate what I just did, what you need to do is to first select these two, and you're going to see that there's a little box at the bottom right corner. you're going to hover your cursor over this little box, and you're going to see that your cursor is going to change. See, the cursor is going to change. And then you click, not click, you press your left button on your mouse or on your touchpad, and then you hold it and you drag. As you can see, as you drag, you're going to see March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Okay, so that's the dragging. You can drag horizontally. You can also drag vertically. Okay. So if you want to drag vertically, what do? Do the same thing. So for example, I'm just gonna have an example rather than actually doing it. So let's say Jan, Feb, March, right? So you have January, February, and March. So what you can do is you can select January, February, just to tell your computer that there's such a pattern. And you still hover to the bottom right corner, you press your left button and you drag down December, right? If you keep going, it's gonna come all over again. So which is pretty decent, right? Which is pretty handy. All right, so that's the first part. So for income, I don't know what income do you have. So let's just make up some numbers. So the income, let's say, parents, I don't know. The second one, let's say Panera. This is like your job, right? Part-time job. Part-time. Just call it part-time or job. Okay. So as you can see, I have a bit of overflow here. So if I want to make this cell adapt to the content, what I can do is I can hover to the top row where you have the A, which is the column title, and you hover your cursor here. As you can see, it's going to change, and then you double click. But here, but if when you double click, you should know that this double clicking should lead to this whole column adjust to the widest content. So in this case, it's going to adjust to the first row, cell A1. So as you can see, it's going to go all the way here. Okay, so we don't want that. It doesn't. It's not a good idea to it doesn't look good. So what should I do? So it's time to make some formatting changes. What I want to do is I want to make this looks like a title by put this one in the center of this whole thing, this whole table. So there are two things I can do, multiple things I can do. The first thing is I can just cut it. Okay, if you want to use your keyboard shortcut, you should use Control plus X. It's cutting. And then I paste it in the middle, maybe here. Okay, and then I double click here. It's going to adjust to the part-time job. So it's fine like this. But you know what? If you have any formatting issues in this column and then you want to double click, you're going to see this column is just so wide. You don't like that, right? So the other thing you can do to move this cell is that you can actually select it and you can drag it. So how can I do it? You can, instead of hovering to the bottom right corner, this little square, what you can do, you can actually hover it here. As you can see, your cursor changed to a hand. And then you hold down your left button and you drag. You can see it's going to be moved over to here. Okay, that's the second way. But we don't really have to move it to do what we want to do. What I actually want to do is to select all these and go to the top. There's something called merge and center. Okay, I'm gonna click on merge and center. You can see this whole thing all these cells are merged, and this title is like in the center. So if I double click here, as you can see, everything is. If I select the table, the whole thing, and then double click any edge of a column, right? Anyone here, it also works. As you can see, everything is just going to be adjusted content. Well, you still have some slacks up here, right? This doesn't look good either. What I want is just adjust to the first column. Okay, so that's the second income, and that's some formatting tricks we can do. And what's the next income we can have? Let's say you are like a TikTok influencer. TikTok? I don't know. TikTok? Yeah, let's say this is just TikTok. I don't actually. Ah, TikTok. Oh, this is TikTok. Okay. So that's let's say that's your three streams of income, and then let's say your expenses. So under expenses, what you can do is you can actually copy these month down here. So for shortcut, how do you go all the way to the end of the row like this? It's or to the beginning, to the end, to the beginning. It's pretty straightforward. So if you just want to move this cell to the end, what you want to do is you want to hold down Control. If you are on the Mac, you want to hold down the Command, and then hit right button, direction, right? Here, it's gonna go to the end, right? The beginning, the end, the beginning, the end. But if you want to select things, what you want to do is you want to hold down Shift. So for example, I'm not holding down anything other than Shift. So hold down Shift and then you hit right, 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 right. See, you're gonna select these. So what if you hold down Control and Shift? Okay, Control or Command and Shift, and then hit right. It's gonna select, well, at the same time, go to the end of the row, right? So you're selecting everything, then you copy it, Control and C, and then you paste it, Control and V. Okay. So you got the expenses. So what expenses do you expect to have? It differs by people, by person. But let's say you're gonna drive a car. Let's assume so gas. You're gonna have to pay insurance. Okay, and you're gonna have to do maintenance. So the gas, insurance, and maintenance, these are expectable. So in the sense that you can create a budget with that. But because this is an expense tracker, what we want to know is we want to look at expose numbers. So later when I fill in numbers, those are going to be makeup numbers. And then if you come to campus, I don't know how much you need to pay for parking. Let's just assume you need to pay for parking. I think that's pretty much for the car, right? And then you need your health insurance. Let me change this to car insurance. Okay, you need health insurance. And what else? Housing, right? Rent, lease payment, okay, whatever you want to call it. And then you will need to pay food, okay, food. And under food, you should have two categories. One is the grocery, the other is the dining out, right? So let's say food, grocery, and food, dine out. Okay, two categories. And then you need to pay utilities, right? You need to pay utilities. Let's say utility should include a lot of things, right? Utilities should include phone, internet, electricity, and gas, right? So phone, oops, internet, elect, and gas, right? These. And then what do you need? What do you need? What do you want? Think about it for yourself. What about subscriptions? Entertainment. Okay. Entertainment. Okay. Entertainment. All right. So so I'm also going to do a lot of drag, and I'm going to do a couple of functions so that we know what we're we have some basic ideas about some general stuff. So let's say your parents is very consistent that they give you about 500 bucks a month. Okay, so 500. So as you can see, if I just put in 500, this is just going to be 500. And if I want to make it a dollar format, I hover over here. As you can see, it says accounting number format. And the accounting number format is usually like this. It's like you have a dollar sign and you have $500 and you have like 2 decimal places after the decimal point. And then if you put a negative number, let's say negative 500, what you get is a parenthesis. Okay, what you get is a parenthesis. So under parentheses is usually negative. Okay, sometimes for accountants, you need parentheses and you need to make it red. Okay, so I do this. Yeah, so the same thing, right? So if you look at here, these are some accounting formats you can do. You can have more accounting formats. You can alter your accounting formats, and you can do custom formatting here. It uses a pretty easy to understand code to for you to customize your format, but it's really beyond our scope, so we don't really worry about that. So let's just say it's $500 from your parents, and it's the same every month. So I can do this. I was dragging. Okay, so it's $500, and then let's say you have a part-time job, and let's say your part-time job is also pretty stable. That is, you work like 4 hours a week, and you make about $30 per hour. So that's roughly $120 per week. So in a month, it's also very close to $500, right? So I'm just going to say 500. As you can see, I was, instead of typing just 500, I was typing dollar sign and 500. But if you look at this, it's very different from the formatting above, right? So how can I make it better? There are 2 things you can do. How can I make the format consistent? Like 2 things you can do. The first one is you can go up here. You see this little brush? It's called a format painter. So what it does is it copies the format and pastes it in where you want. So if I click it first, it's copying the format here. And if you look at your cursor, you're going to see that you have a little brush. And then if you click on the cell I want to, to change the format to, here, I click it, the formats are consistent. And then I can drag over. Okay, so the other thing you can do is that you can actually copy, do nothing, just copy, Control and C or Command and C, just copy. And then when you're pasting, you paste the format only. So you can do a special pasting by go here, paste, and if you go down, you're gonna see formatting. So this is not gonna paste the value, but it's just gonna paste the formatting. So as you can see, it's like this. So another way you can do it, instead of going here, is that after you copy, if you see the running dashed line, you have copied. And then if you paste it here, you see this little thing here. So you click on it, you're gonna see all the options there. So it's formatting, okay? So yeah, so that's the ways you can do it. So what if we didn't do 500? What if, let's say, we do 480? Okay, what if we do 480? I copy and I paste. And you can see the numbers change to 500, right? But if I select formatting here, it goes back to 480. Okay, so it's just formatting change rather than number change or value change. Okay, so 480 instead of 500. So the TikTok, I don't know how much money people make on TikTok. Let's say you produce 100 videos. I don't know. Let's say you produce 4 videos per month, and for each video, the TikTok is gonna pay you roughly $100. So you get $400 here. I'm gonna do the same trick. It's gonna be 400, but I'm gonna copy here and paste the format, $400, and then the whole thing is the same across the board. And let's say in the summer you're more productive, June, July, August. Okay, or you are going to be more productive. So let's say you make actually double the videos. So I'm gonna say 800. As you can see, as I change the number, the format didn't change. Okay, so 800 videos. And then let's also assume that in September, you made a very special video, and this video really exploded, and you get extra money. Let's say it's like $2,400. Okay, so other than the regular videos you are making, you made a video that's making a lot of money. Okay, and that's the TikTok income. And also at the same time, as an influencer, you probably will get some merchandise income. You probably will get some commercial income. So we're just ignoring those. We're just saying, TikTok is gonna pay for the number of video plays. Okay. Okay, so you have seen dragging, you have seen copying and pasting, you have seen format changing. So let's do a total. So here I'm just going to show you some functions. So there are multiple things you can do to calculate in Excel, to do calculations. So one thing you can do about whatever calculations you want to do, the first thing you should do is to hit the equal sign. So once you hit the equal sign, you can see at the top banner, you're going to have like fx equals to. So fx is looking for a function, right? So it's mostly use its sum, average, if, hyperlink, count, max, sin, sign, sum if, payment, standard deviation, blah, blah, blah. These are like widely used by me, but for you, whatever you like. So hit equal, you're going to see these are there. These are lighten up. If it's not, you see, these are gray. Okay, so to get the total income of what you can do is you can just go the first cell plus the second cell plus the third cell. You can just do this. Okay, you get your total income. Okay, so after this you hit enter. Okay, I think it's a safer thing to do. So then there are, I want to calculate the total for all the months. What you can do is you can copy this and paste it one by one. You see the numbers are the same, right? But as you move scooch over, actually the cell references are changing. See, in this cell, it's referring to the same column. In this cell, it's referring to the same column, right? So as I'm scooching to the right, the cell reference is also going to change. So these are column Ds, and these are column Es. Okay, so I should see a value change here, right? Because I got extra income, and I should see a value change here because I also got extra income. And I keep pasting, the value should reverse back to a normal level. Okay. So this is the total, the sum function, the adding up. Okay. So another thing you can do is you can use a function. Excel has gazillion of built-in functions. So let's call it sum. Okay. So sum basically is creating a summation of numbers. So you can see there are so many sums. Sum if is basically telling you if a condition is met, you're going to sum. If a condition is not met, you're not going to sum. And then sum product is summing up the product of two numbers. So you need two rows. But anyways, so in here, we're just going to do a sum. So as you can see, it asks for arguments. So you can have number one, number two, number three. So there are, again, two ways you can do it. One thing is you can do B4, comma, B5, comma, and B6. Okay, then close the parentheses, hit enter. You got the sum, the same number, right? So I can copy this and paste across the board. If I do that, numbers don't change, but the formula changed. So another thing you can do in Excel is that that's the one thing that Excel is special. That is, you can operate over arrays, by which I mean a sequence or a series of numbers. So what you do here is that I'm not adding up B4, B5, and B6, right? I'm actually adding up all the numbers from B4 to B6, right? So what I can do is I can select these three. As you can see, instead of comma, I have column, right? I have B4 column B6. That basically means I'm summing from B4 to B6. Okay, so this makes more sense when we're calculating the expenses because there are like so many expenses, 12 of them, and I don't want to go like one by one clicking on them. What I can do is I can just do equals to a sum and then B10, comma, B21. So I'm highlighting all of them. So I'm adding up all the numbers among them. Okay, so total. So another cool thing about Excel is that you can fill in the cells before you have any numbers. So I have already got the formula for the total, but I don't have any numbers. So I got a 0. What I can do is I can do the same thing for the rest at the same time. So it's all zeros. And of course, I need to paint the format. Paste the format. As you can see, 0 is just a little dash in Excel when we use accounting formatting. And then we got the structure, the general structure laid out even before we know the expenses. And then I can have a row called net income. So the net income is essentially just the total income minus the total expense, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's the income, and then let's fill in, correct some random numbers in expense. So let's say for gas, how much do you drive? Let's say I drive a Corolla and I pay about, I don't know, 40 bucks a month. Okay, so as you can see, once I put in 50 here, 50 bucks a month, once I put in 50 here, I got 50 here, right? But you know what? The formatting thing is a pain. So let me just select everything and make everything the same format. And when you drive a Corolla, your car insurance shouldn't be very high. Let's just say 50 bucks, 20, 20 bucks. It's pretty high, 20 bucks, $240 a year, right? And then let's say car maintenance. Car maintenance may or may not come because usually when you maintain a car, it's like, for example, oil change. You need an oil change every 10,000 miles. If you drive 10,000 miles a year, you should need a oil change every year. So I know that's not a lot of driving, but maintenance, if we only consider oil change, we should expect a bunch of zeros. And in a month, we have like maybe $80 of oil change and then a bunch of zeros. You should expect a number like this, okay? And then it's gonna be a parking. So parking should be pretty stable every month. And sometimes you may get a ticket, okay? So let's say 45 bucks plus something. Let's say it's usually just $15 a month. And in a certain month, you get 60 because you got a parking ticket, okay? And then it's the health insurance. Health insurance is really expensive. Let's say 200 bucks. Housing every month, let's say it's gonna be 1,000. Let's say $800. Okay. I'm trying to make sure we are balanced. And food, for the grocery nowadays, it's really expensive. For yourself, let's say a month, you pay about $200. And let's say for dining out, you pay about 60. And for the phone, let's say you pay $15 a month. For the internet, you pay 50, $49.99. You pay 50. And for the electricity and the gas, you're living in an $800 apartment. If that's the case, your electricity and the gas should be about like 50, $60 or something. And let's say you pay a $9 Netflix per month as your net income. Okay. All right. So we are a little overexpensive this month, right? Because of the income. But if we want to try to copy and paste these over, okay, just drag over, and these, and drag over, and we're assuming that basically everything is going to be the same for every month. For every month, with very little variations. For example, in this month we pay the oil change, and for example, in this month we pay $60 in parking because we have another $45 of parking ticket. Right? Let's do that. So we're a little over every month, right? But other than this, we have a big income here. So let's look at let's say we have a bank account, and we have a savings. We have savings accounts. So when you're tracking bank accounts, a good thing to do. That's also very important for uh, for financial analysis when it comes to work. What you need to do is you need to realize that when you're looking at your bank accounts, you're looking at balances. But when you're looking at these, you're looking at flows, right? What do I mean by that? So basically, when I say this $500, what you are seeing is that within January, you're going to get $500, right? But we are looking at your savings account balance. You can only look at a number at a certain point in time. So basically, that's saying, okay, at the end of January, I have a certain amount of savings, right? So, so we are looking at accounts like a bank account. What you got is usually a balance item, a number that happens, or you observe a number that you observe at a point of time. But looking at these numbers, these are called flow numbers. These numbers are numbers you got or you observed over a period of time. So these are different. So how can we unionize these two numbers or these two types of numbers? What you want to do is you want to track a beginning balance and an ending balance. Okay, you want to track a beginning balance and an ending balance. Okay, you want to track a beginning balance and an ending balance. Let's say the beginning balance of the beginning of the year is basically right now how much money you have. Let's say you have $3,000. Okay, so the formatting is bad again. So let's do it. Do the same thing again. So let's say you have $3,000, and the ending balance should be the beginning balance minus whatever you spend this month, right? So it's the beginning balance. Even though I said minus, but I'm going to say plus because we have a net income that's negative, so it means we spent more than we earned. So it should eat out our balance, right? So at the end of the month, we have 29.01. Okay, we should, and then the beginning balance of the next month is essentially just the ending balance of the current month, right? So this, and then the ending balance of February should be just a copy and paste, right? So what's going on is we are using the beginning balance of February to minus the ending balance of, to minus the net income of the net loss, $99 of February, okay? And then, as you can see, this equals to the previous, the beginning balance of March is also the ending balance of February. I got this, and then I copy and I paste. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing a pattern here, right? So this cell is the previous balance, and this cell is just the beginning balance minus the net loss, right? Minus negative 99. So what I can do is I can drag because this is a pattern. So what I want to do is I want to drag, and then what I want to do is I want to see, sorry, is I want to double check if my formula is correct. Okay, so as you can see, all the beginning balances are the previous ending balances, and all the um, savings. Okay, all the savings, or the ending balances are the beginning balance plus net income. Okay, if the net income is negative, that means we lose money. If the net income is positive, that means we gain some money. Okay, so let's look at the ending balance at the end of the year. We actually accumulated additional wealth, right? That's a big growth from 3,000 at the beginning of the year to 4887. That's wow, that's a lot. That's like 60% of growth, right? So which is great. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the general setup. And then what I want to do is I want to put in some like other tricks. So for example, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a little function of this uh, at the top. So what I want to do is I want to select this, and then I want to insert another row. So one thing you can do to insert another row is to right click on the row number, and you're going to see that insert. We're just going to insert another row. Another thing you can do is that you can actually highlight the whole row by clicking on the row, and then you can go Control and plus. You can go Control and plus, or Command and plus. But if you're using a laptop and you don't have a separated plus button, you need to use Shift to access plus, right? So what you can do is you can. Okay, so what I can do is I can just hit Control Shift and the plus equal sign, and I got another row. So this is pretty handy. And also for columns, you can do the same thing. If you want to reduce, you just say Control and minus. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to introduce a very important function. It's called VLOOKUP. It's really a little advanced, but I think it makes sense to let you know VLOOKUP. So for example, if you're looking at a table that's as small as this, you can pretty easy to know, let's say I want to say, okay, how much did I make on TikTok in August in 2023? Right? So you can simply go to the cell and see, oh, $800, right? But what if I say, okay, you have a lot of other budgets. It's a very complicated table. What if that's the case? What if you're in a business environment and you're just looking for numbers there? So one thing you can do instead of creating a very complicated pivot table, one thing you can do is you can use VLOOKUP, the function. So let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, I'm just going to say TikTok. So this is what I want to look for. And these are like January, February, March, April. So I want to put a VLOOKUP function for each month. So let me first create the January one, and then I can copy and paste for the other month. So VLOOKUP. Okay, so if you look at VLOOKUP, you're going to see that it's asking for lookup value. So lookup value cell reference is going to be A1. And then the table array is the table I'm going to look up. So I'm basically looking up everything in this table, the whole thing. Right? I can also include the bank accounts, right? I'm basically looking at the whole thing. And then the column index number, it's basically saying, okay, if I find this, okay, in the first column of the table, that is this column, okay, if Excel is going through this table's first column to look for the TikTok value, and I find it, and the formula find it, okay, then which number in which column do you want me to give you here? Okay, so if you put 1, okay, it's going to give you TikTok. If you give it 2, it means it's going to go to the column 2 of this table, which is January numbers. This is what we want, right? And also column 3 is going to be the February numbers, right? So then if I close it, okay, I hit enter. If everything is correct, I should get $400, okay? But as you can see, I got 60. So what's going on? So I want I have to specify the last argument. So the last argument says the range you're looking up, that is TikTok, do you want a approximate match or do you want an exact match? So of course we want an exact match, right? Because we want exactly TikTok. So I'm just gonna spell out false. Okay. So remember, note that this false must be all capitalized because Excel just takes it as false. So if I do that, as you can see, I got 400, which is great, right? Okay. So then what should I do? Okay, if I want to have the format consistent, I paint the format, and then I can just drag and go, right? So let's drag. As you can see, it is 400 for this, 400 for this, 400 for this, 400 for this, 800 for this, 800 for this, 2400 for this, 400 for this, 400 for this, 400 for this. It seems pretty good, right? It seems decent. But let's check the formula, right? If you look at the formula, what do you see? If you look at the formula, what do you see? You're seeing that the table we're looking at is shifting, right? And also here, it's shifting, and this one shifts here, which is something we don't want. And what we're looking for also shifts. Instead of looking for TikTok, we're looking for 400, right? Which is a problem, right? So that's wrong. So what should we do to avoid this when we are copying and pasting, to avoid such a shift? Shift is good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just in this case, when we are trying to looking up a certain table and this table is not shifting, we don't want the table to shift with the cell. Okay, what should we do? So we can use something called absolute cell reference in Excel. So when we are putting A1 here, we are referring to the cell A1, right? That's a cell reference. And absolute cell reference basically means you put dollar signs in front of the column reference and the row reference. So shortcut, just hit F4, okay, function 4, okay? So you see, I put dollar signs in front of A and 1. What does that mean? That basically means when I drag this, when I copy and paste this cell, as you can see, I got an error, right? But that's basically because however I copy and paste, I'm referring to TikTok, okay? So both A and 1, they're locked, okay? You don't change that when you're copying and pasting. So we can do the same thing for the table reference, which is here. Okay, and now I copy and paste. As you can see, I always get 400. Okay, I always get 400. So if I always get 400, there must be something wrong because TikTok basically says, it should be 800 in this month, right? So what's going on here? Let's, investigate. This process, you can consider this process as a debugging process. So if you look at this 2, you're going to see that, this is column 2, and this one is also giving me column 2, which is 400, and this one is also giving me column 2, which is 200. So I cannot have that. What I want is actually going through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So so let's create a row where we have January as month 1, right? +1. right? So the previous number plus 1 is 2, and then I can copy and paste. I should go until month 12, right? And then what I want to do is I want to change this column index number into the cell reference of B1. You don't need dollar signs now, right? Because what you want is actually this B1 to increase as you drag over. But if I just put B1, as you can see, it gives me TikTok rather than 400. What does that mean? That's basically saying that B1 equals 1, right? B1 equals 1 rather than 2. So I want B1 plus 1. I should get 400. And then I copy and paste this cell, or I drag it over. Okay, I just drag it. I get the correct numbers I'm looking for: 800, 800, 800, 800, 2400, and 2400, right? So other than TikTok, I can also do something else. For example, I can do maintenance. As you can see, every number has changed, and I was given 80 in row 9, right? So that's so we got there. So this solution is not elegant, right? Because if you look at this, we have another row that has 1 through 12. If you present this to any managers, the manager is not going to like it. So if it's just for yourself, you may not like it over the time. So what should you do? So what you can do is you can try to think of a way so that you can substitute this B1 with a formula that's going to refer to some of these, right? So what can you do? So I'm going to introduce 2 ways of doing this. So the first one is you can think of, how you can make this January into number 1, right? How you can make this January into number 1, because January is the first month, right? So what you can do is, to be honest, the best way to do it is to Google it, okay? But what you're looking for is essentially just the month, right? Month number 1, right? Month number 1. So so you can use a formula called month. Okay, so how can we do it? What you can do is first make this a date. Let's say it's January 1, January 1st, January 2nd, whatever it is. So so you need to go with, let's say it equals to this, okay? So this and, okay, this is a little complicated. This and is a operator where you combine, you combine characters. Okay, in other words, strings. What do I mean by strings? Basically words rather than numbers. Okay, so for example, Jan is a string and this is a numeric value, right? This is a string. So this operator is what you use to combine strings. So I use quotation marks for 1 so that I'm telling Excel that this 1 instead of a number is actually a string. So this is basically going to give us JAN and 1, right? So it's the whole thing is a string. So January 1st is the date, right? So what I want to get the month number of the date. What I do is to use the month function. Okay, what I will do is I want to use the month function. However, if you hit enter here, it's not going to work. Yeah, it works. Let's drag over. See, oh, it all works. Okay, so that's good. If you hit enter here, it works. But anyways, so you're gonna see that for January it's giving us a number of 1. For February it's giving us a number of 2. For March it's giving us a number of 3. So it works. So it's good. If it doesn't work on yours, you may miss one thing that is called date value. So you want to put the date value of this string date and then use the month function around it. Okay, so playing with date is really difficult for a lot of computer programs, including Excel. Excel already make it very easy. So why do you need a date value or something like this? It's basically because when you just have this JAN1. Sometimes Excel does not take it as a date. Okay, it just takes it as a random string. So, but when you put the date value around this, okay, you get a number that Excel will consider as a date. Excel will take JAN1 as January 1st, which is a date, and the date value will give you a number, and that number is basically Excel's mapping to January 1st, which is a date. And then you use the month function to extract the month of that date. So you get a 1, which is month 1. Okay, that's this. Okay, that's this. You want a 1 in this cell. That's good. Okay, so let's try TikTok. Okay, I get all the numbers. Let's try parents. I got all the numbers. Let's try the food. Dine out. I get all the numbers, which is great, right? And then what should I do? What do I want to do? What I want to do is show you the second way where you can refer to you can refer to this column of this table. This is very simple, much simpler than the months. It's just called column. Okay, column. Okay, it's asking for a reference, so I just put B2. This should give me number 2 because B is the second column. Number 2, right? So because this is number 2, because this is giving us number 2, I don't need this +1 anymore, right? It's already number 2. So I paste, I change this to maintenance. As you can see, I got the, oh, sorry. So did I change this? I didn't change these. So change these. And you can see I got the 80 here. Okay, which is also correct. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is I want to eliminate the first row. And I want to say, instead of referring to B1, I want to refer to the formula in B1, which is column B2. Okay, so I'm highlighting this, I'm copying this, and I'm replacing B1 with column B2. So it's also going to give me a number 2. So I'm going to copy and paste here, and then I'm going to remove this row. Now, as you can see, instead of referring to column B2, I'm referring to column B1 now because I removed the first row. Okay, so it's a really good idea to always double check your formula when you make structural changes. Okay, because in Excel, it's so easy to make structural changes. You're going to make a lot of those. And then when you do that, things are going to get messed up. So it's a good idea to double check. So good news is, in this case, even though we are trying to mess it up, it didn't. Okay, so that's good. Let's say parking. I got all the 15s. TikTok. I got all the numbers in the correct month, right? Yeah. So that's great. So this is basically the important things I want to get away with. Number 1, when you use a formula. Okay. Number 2, how you drag things over. And number 3, when you are dragging things over, you need to worry about the change of the cell references. Okay. Number 4, the VLOOKUP formula. That's a very specific formula that needs some explanations. For a lot of other formulas, yeah, they're fine, but you probably don't need any explanations. It's pretty straightforward, like the sum function. Okay, so I hope this practice is helpful. It's gonna warm you up for your for the Finance Tool 1 and for your future finance studies. But if you have any questions, just let me know.